Hello, and welcome to a season 14 edition of AGT Time. Cody Patterson here
along with Jay Bach, ready for our season 14 premiere episode.
Yes, we made it to season 14, Jay. How does it feel to be doing a podcast on your first full season of AGT?
Boy, I thought I'd never see the day.
Well, we're still glad you're here. Full thing of AGT. We just finished Champions back in March. We did a Brant Steele thing with AGT contestants.
Yep.
And now we're here to talk, AGT proper.
We're here to talk AGT proper. Let's talk just a moment about what's happened since the last time we talked with the Brant Steele. You've had a few, or at least one, good interaction with the AGT verse, right?
I did. So several weeks ago, early May, I went and saw Preacher Lawson in Knoxville, and that was a fantastic event. I am absolutely glad that we went and did that.
Awesome. Where was the show at?
So the show was at the what's called the Bijou Theater, Bijou Theater. It's a very small theater. It's a very small old theater. Probably just holds a few hundred people. I'd be surprised if he even holds 1,000.
Wow.
I don't think it goes up to 4 digits. I think it's just several hundred people it holds. We were down on the floor. I was about 6 or 7 rows back on the very far left side. This old theater has balconies, the old style balconies, kind of like you see. Was it in the Muppets?
Sure,
what the two old guys,
Statler and
Waldorf. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that type of theater. And his brother did the opening act.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his brother did the opening act. We did not know it was his brother until Preacher came out and did his act. Both of them, fantastic. The crowd was great.
Good.
One of the best things that I love about any comedian is their interaction with the audience. Anytime they can do an improv or they show that the audience actually exists and they're not just up there doing a scripted set for an hour, that's my favorite type of comedian, and he did it to the nines.
Yeah, he's I think very good on his feet. He's very good, in that live atmosphere. Awesome that you were able to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm really glad. So I've seen now 2 AGT contestants. I saw I Illuminate last summer, and now Preacher Lawson. We don't get a lot of that stuff in our area. We're not really metropolitan, so we don't get a lot of those type of acts. So we usually have to drive a little bit to get there. I highly recommend that if Preacher Lawson comes to your town, you go and see him.
All right.
His act is 100% clean. He doesn't use any foul language at all. Very, very, small sexual innuendos or references. He interacts with the crowd. Anytime someone went to the bathroom, he'd mention, "Hey, they're coming back from the bathroom." One person's Apple Watch was too bright, and he would comment on how bright their Apple Watch was. In the middle or close to the end of his act, someone just yelled out, "Hey, take off your shirt." And he just said, No, I'm not going to do that. And why would you even ask me to do that? And he just went on a rant for about 3 minutes about some guy just yelling, "Hey, take off your shirt."
Oh my gosh.
So it's that type of thing that I just absolutely love. So if you can go see Preacher Lawson, I completely endorse it. Afterwards,
all right.
Afterwards he had like a gathering time. There was a huge long line where he would just take pictures with people. Now he only signed autographs for merchandise that you bought there at the show. So if you bought one of his T-shirts, he would sign that. I took my little, and those that have seen it on my Twitter. I think I posted it on my Twitter. I've got a little AGT. I don't even know what it's called, but a little AGT logo that Cody Mims sent me a couple of years ago. I took that with me. I was going to have him sign it, but unfortunately he wouldn't do it. But I took a picture with him. He was just taking pictures all over the place. He's very personable, very, very nice. Loves his fans.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. And I fault him none for having some business sense about that and wanting to protect his income a little bit.
Yeah, he wants people to buy his stuff, and that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. But no, I saw the picture. I wondered if you had some sort of special, backstage pass or some sort of special access. But no, he was just ready and willing to take a picture with anybody for anything.
Yeah,
so
he did it with all his fans. There was a huge long line, and he had another performance coming up right after that. But he took the time.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so our show was at 8. There was another one at 10:30. We got out at like 9:30, 9:45. He went to this side room where he just took pictures, and I guess he was there until it was time for him to go on again. So
wow,
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Boy, any other updates that we should have since our Brant Steele?
I think there was an announcement that they have announced season 2 of Champions.
Yeah.
So
I did see something about that, but I did not even look into it a little.
Yeah, I didn't dig deep into it. I just kind of saw it in passing that there was an announcement of season 2 of Champions. They've got a wide franchise that they can work with from all across the world, so they can dig deep in. Hopefully, they're not going to bring back some of the same acts that we just saw. I would like to see some different types of acts, and hopefully, they already have some commitments in order to be able to line this up. I hope they didn't say, "Hey, we're bringing back season 2 of Champions," and then have no one want to show up.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that they have people lined up for it. I'd imagine they are paying appearance fees or some sort of get them in the door kind of dollars to the acts, and giving them a chance to also get their name out there again. So that may be coming down the pike. It sounds like there's been some international versions going around of the Got Talent franchise. Some of that news sort of pops up on my feed, but really, I haven't been clicking on that stuff. I've mostly just been interested in what's going on the American side.
Yeah, no, they just finished up Britain's Got Talent. I did not see who the winner was. I've seen a couple of videos from this year's Britain's Got Talent, but I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it.
Yeah. So for America's Got Talent, season 14. Should we kind of hop in and go through these in a sort of chronological way here?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just as a reminder to everyone, we've got... You want to do the take care of business first, Jay, before we do that?
Sure, let's take care of business.
Okay, so you want to give out the... You're getting pretty good at giving out the contact us stuff.
It's been a while. We'll see if I can do this. Okay. We've got... you can reach us on Twitter at AGT Time. Or join us on Facebook at AGT Cast. You can reach out to me directly. I'm at One Man Bander on Twitter. Or they could reach out to you directly, Cody L. Patterson.
Right, yep.
Bam.
And don't forget the email.
Oh, yeah. We also have an email. What's that?
agtcast@gmail.com.
AGTcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later. The last couple of seasons, I have started putting together a Spotify playlist of songs that are sung on AGT.
Oh, really?
And, songs that are covered. Obviously, I can't put the originals out there because they're usually not available. But I try the best I can to put the well-known original song of any song that was covered.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested in that, I'm going to include the link to the Spotify playlist in our show notes. But also, if you subscribe to Spotify, plug here, you can also find our podcast on Spotify. So if you go out to Spotify, you just kind of do a search for America's Got Talent. I don't think there's a whole lot of them come up. You'll find a public playlist out there with my name, and then you can just follow it. and as the season goes along, I'll be adding songs to that. So.
All right. So that's fun. And I suppose we should also point people to the YouTube page.
Right.
Our YouTube channel, we are going to be doing some just some visuals, I guess, along with our podcast. So if you want to see the acts as you're hearing us talk about it, and it's just a still shot, right?
Right. So I'll just be doing some screen captures from the show just to kind of give some visual of who we're talking about. It also, it helps us a little bit. Sometimes we forget. It's been a couple days since we watched the show. It helps us kind of see who we're talking about. So if you watch it on YouTube as we're talking about it, I'll be kind of scrolling through the pictures, and then you can see, who Cody Lee was, or who what's one of the others,
right.
Jackie Fabulous
a visual,
or whatever. Yeah. So kind of help you out there a little bit.
Very good. And then of course we should mention, while we're doing our business end of things, tell your friends, rate and review us. Get the word out. If you're enjoying this, share it with other people you think might enjoy it. We're the kind of people that like to talk about America's Got Talent. You're the kind of person that likes to listen to it. You've probably got friends who want to listen to it. So, share it out there, and we'd love to sort of build the America's Got Talent, the AGT Time Nation a little bit here.
Absolutely. So, new season. Usually we get some new subscribers this time of year. So I'm excited about this. Spread the word. We appreciate it.
All right.
So season 14, Jay.
Let's do it. Let's jump in. Our first act was a gentleman named Greg Morton.
Yep. Now, and before we get into that, Jay, remember we got two new hosts, or two new judges.
Sure. Let's talk about our two new judges. We got Gabrielle Union and Julliane Hough. Do you have an initial impression on Gabrielle?
I do, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Because there was actually some kind of notes I wrote down about Gabrielle from this particular episode. Now, she's a little bit younger than I thought. She's only 30. Right. For some reason, I thought she was a little bit older than that. At the same time, not Gabrielle. Sorry, Gabrielle is in her 40s. Julliane is only 30.
She's only 30. Yeah. She's the blonde one.
Yeah, she's the blonde one. So, and she was on Dancing with the Stars, which is why I thought she was a little bit older, because she's already had this stint on Dancing with the Stars. Gabrielle, on the flip side, is a little bit older than I thought.
Really?
She commented on that in the show. So I've got some specific notes that I wanted to talk about on Julliane. We'll talk about those here in a little bit. But we have them, and we have Terry Crews as the full-time host now.
We have Terry Crews, who we got to meet at the Champions season. I think that gave him an opportunity to kind of get his feet wet. You know what? He seemed like a really, really great fit for doing this hosting job. I have zero complaints. Nothing felt forced or weird or awkward or shoehorned in. It's just like he was just in his sweet spot.
Agreed. Now, I wish we'd seen a little bit more of him in this episode, but I think we'll see more of him as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think we'll get plenty. I don't need to. I don't need to have a problem with that.
Okay, so now I think we're ready to dive into it.
Okay,
go for it, Jay.
Let's dive in. We've got our first act of the entire season. A gentleman named Greg Morton. He comes out there kind of a silly-looking guy, right? He's got a big mouth. He's got big ears and gap tooth, and he says he does voices. He's a former DJ. A little bit of sort of back and forth with the judges, and they say, "All right, let's jump at it." So he does a series of Star Wars voices, and I will hand in my geek card right now, because I am familiar enough with the Star Wars franchise. I was just reminded that I think there's another Star Wars movie coming out this summer, maybe?
That is correct. So,
okay.
To kind of fill you in on this, there's been 2 trilogies already. This is the third and final trilogy in the Star Wars series, or as I think they're calling it, the saga. So this will actually complete what they're saying is the Skywalker story. So if you're familiar with Luke and Leia and Anakin and that whole thing, this kind of completes that story. So this is Star Wars talk for a minute or two to kind of get Jay up to speed on this. So
I did a few years ago go out of my way to watch the all the available movies to that point.
Oh, okay.
Except I think I'd been advised to skip the Jar Jar Binks episode. So. And I don't honestly remember if I even watched that. So I've got a little bit of exposure. I mean, just like general pop culture exposure. Like you're gonna know a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
But this isn't one of those things that I chose to dive headfirst into. But with that said, I can say he surprised me. The guy's good at what he does.
Yeah, I will agree. Now, the Star Wars that he did is all from the what I'm going to say is the original trilogy.
Right.
So the ones that came out in '77 and the early 80s, that's what all of his impressions were from, or voices were from. So if you're any kind of Star Wars fan, you will get every single thing that he said in this. And even in the picture that we're showing here, it's where Luke gets his hand cut off, and you can kind of see that his hands disappeared a little bit. So we get it from all three movies. But yeah, he surprised me as well. I thought at first this was going to be really, really hokey, and then he goes into it and I was pleasantly surprised. Now, if you notice, they let him do the Star Wars voices, but there was no Star Wars music.
Sure.
They went with just generic music. They couldn't get the John Williams score to play over this. So I don't know how the copyright works in that scenario, or how the rights work and all that. That he's able to do the voices and tell some of the story, but he's not able to do the music. They're not able to play the music.
Right, and I suppose the music is actually, the music, but him doing an impersonation is not sort of stealing the rights to it or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. I picked out a handful of the characters.
Okay.
Definitely got Darth Vader at the beginning.
Yep.
Our screenshot there is the Luke Skywalker, right?
Yep, that's where he gets his hand cut off.
And then we had our droids, C-3PO and R2-D2.
Right.
And then I got a little bit lost here. I think there was an Ewok.
Yeah, they did Ewoks. He did a Jabba impression, Jabba the Hutt.
Okay, yep.
He also did I think it was Reg, like when they were flying in the X-Wings. I think there's some parts where they're flying in the X-Wings, and you have Reg and Red Leader and those type of things in there. Some of those
non-named characters.
Well, I mean, they're still iconic characters, but you're right. They're I mean, we have Reg. He's one of the named characters, but I didn't hear any Leia that I could think of. I didn't hear
no females.
Obi-Wan, you are our only hope. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think he did any of the.
Was there a is it Emperor
Palpatine? Yeah, I think he did an Emperor Palpatine. Yep.
And there was definitely a Yoda.
Yep.
And then his big number at the end was his Chewbacca.
Yes.
And I've been able to do a Chewbacca impersonation myself. When I do it, I roll the tongue like at the front of my mouth.
Okay. But
he somehow does it without rolling his tongue.
Yep.
All the warble is in his throat, which is an impressive feat.
Yeah, and I think that's and I'm just making an assumption here, I think that's the proper way to do it, is from the back of the throat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're just going for a fake-o, Chewbacca, you can roll the front of the tongue and it'll impress the kids at least.
Yeah, if you can roll your R's, then you get a Spanish Chewbacca.
Right. There you go. The Spanish Chewbacca. Yeah, see, I'm the Spanish Chewbacca.
Okay.
I've got a bad Chewbacca accent. I don't speak fluent Wookiee, I guess. I'm clearly not my first language.
Yeah. Now Howie thought that this was. He's like, we've never heard of you, and why have we heard your name? So we get some judge reactions from this.
Yeah, Howie was really impressed. Of course, like you said, where'd you come from? How did you slip through the cracks all these years? First comments from Gabrielle. She said, "It's your turn to show off your talent." And Julliane said, "Was not expecting that, and I would buy a ticket right now for your show." And Simon, I thought, gave a pretty high praise, saying, young and old, everybody in the theater gets it. And, having that appeal to such a broad audience is really, really an impressive thing.
Agreed. And now I'm excited to know, well, where's he going to go from here? You've got to stay in the pop culture world. To know, so that everyone can recognize it. Now, if you kind of look at some of the movies that are coming out this summer, can he do like a Woody or Buzz from Toy Story type thing? What other movies or maybe even shows is he going to do? I'm fascinated by this. This was a great way to start this show off.
Really fine way to start the show. I hope to see just dozens and dozens and dozens of different voices over the course of the season.
Yes.
Hundreds of voices. I want what's he got in his bag? Muppets, I think, would be great. You mentioned, like Toy Story or any, animated film where you've kind of got those distinct voices. You've got, going back to Flintstones or Jetsons or sort of the classic Hanna-Barbera. Like you could take this 1,000 different directions. You could have a whole lot of fun with it. Making sure that it's relevant to the audience. Maybe the Hanna-Barbera is too far in the past, but something that when people hear it, maybe something like the Big Bang Theory cast or something like that. There's some unique voices and I think ways that he could play with that. So I'll be interested to see what he does. I was impressed though.
Absolutely. Now you got 4 yeses, so everyone else was impressed too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, those that listen to our Champions podcast know that I did something new this time. We were kind of curious, how long do these acts actually get? We'd always heard, hey, you get 90 seconds. And some felt, especially in Champions, some felt much longer and some felt much shorter. So the counter that I am, the IT guy that I am, started keeping track of how much time do these acts actually get? And I'm only tracking the time that they're performing. So not the amount of time that they're actually on stage and talking to the judges or their story is being told. How much performance time are they getting? Okay.
Intro package doesn't matter. Banter with the judges doesn't matter.
Right.
Judges judging them doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's from go to thank you and take a bow.
Correct. So that's it. And it's plus or minus 3-5 seconds. So just give that.
Okay.
Now this one was on par for what we've typically heard. This was 1:35. Okay. So if those that you watched, there's going to be a few in here that's going to be a little bit longer, and you're going to be amazed at what the times actually came out to. But they gave Greg Morton right at the 1.5 mark.
Right at a 1.5.
So we're right on par starting off here. So
okay. All right. So the second act, then, I would say it felt a little longer.
Okay.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about Eric Chen?
So Eric Chen is a magician, a card magician, and AGT did not waste any time getting us right to a close-up magic card magician.
No.
They loved their card magician from season 13 as well as Champions.
And Champions,
yeah. So I guess they didn't want to lead off with it. I think that'd be too obvious. But they put him way early in the show, and we've got Eric Chen, a close-up card magician, right off the bat. Now, so a little bit of his story is that he was called back to Taiwan to do military service. He said he wasn't allowed to take his cards. He wasn't allowed to take coins. He wasn't allowed to take anything. So he was practicing his magic, had to go do his military service, and then come back. So he's only been practicing his card tricks for a very short period of time. During his banter with the judges, I thought it was a little, and he's kind of wearing this. He's got a vest and the rolled up sleeves. but as during his banter with the judges, Simon immediately put him on the spot because they talked about Shin Lim for a moment.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you're an Asian magician. He's an Asian magician. He does close-up magic. You do close-up magic. And Simon says, yeah, who's better?
Who's better? Yeah.
And he does not respond.
Production kind of did their little magic of their own here.
Yeah, I suspect so.
They did a lot of cutting and pasting here because even the reactions that he was giving didn't seem like they meshed or matched up well with, what was actually presented. So, right. There probably was like a 5-minute conversation here, and I would bet that if he's any sort of professional or whatnot, he would say, Shin Lim is a great, great magician. He won, and I don't know at this point if they had seen Champions when this was actually recorded, but he won 13. He's a great magician, so we know he's good. Right. Right. And I'm just different. I'm not Shin Lim. I'm a different type of magician, and it's going to be up to you in America to decide how good I actually am. Right. So there could have been a lot of that banter going on. At least I hope there was during that editing that AGT did.
I would believe that there was some shenanigans going on with the editing, with the producing. Yeah. So
talk about his trick a little bit, because you're really good at explaining these tricks.
So I believe I'd seen this act before, not done by him, but sort of the same thing. But he sort of takes out this little wooden box, and out of the box he pulls two like playing card sized frames, and he puts one on the left side and one on the right side, and he pulls a ribbon out of the box as well and lays that down the middle of the table. So as he then takes his cards out of the box, as he puts them on one side, they turn red, and he puts them on the other side of the ribbon, they turn blue. And he's moving the cards back and forth. Well, I guess I should say he indicated which side was going to be red and which side was going to be blue with the cards that he put on those frames. And then he started to do crazy stuff. He would slide the card underneath the ribbon, and it would turn blue. And when he lifted the ribbon up, the card was half red and half blue. He took one of the cards out of the frame, so it was just blank, and then when he slid the card over, it disappeared. And then he put a coin in there, and cards were turning into coins, and coins were turning into cards, and it was just a really well done thing. One of the highlights, I think, is when he was throwing a card on the blue side, and it turns blue. He throws one on the red side, and it is red, and it goes over the edge, and he dives after it. And when his chest then on the table, he sits up, and his vest had turned half blue and half red, as per the colors on the table in front of him. So some really, really impressive sleight of hand. I have no idea how this stuff is done. There's some sort of I don't know what's going on with the table. Something with the table. All in all, it's amazing. It's just really impressive stuff. No wonder that the judges were also pleased and applauded him appropriately, I think. So, Howie's comments, he said, you look more confused than us. So his stage presence was, I think, what he wanted. He may not be the most comfortable on the stage, but, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect that to happen. Of course he expects it to happen. He's the one in total control. But that stage presence, that acting, is a part of it. And Howie was impressed with that. Gabrielle said, I'm as baffled as the audience. Julliane said, you don't have to compare yourself to anybody. And Simon said, you are at a different level. So, of course, 4 yeses for our guy Eric Chen, not Shin Lim.
His acting, I felt, was way better than Shin Lim's. One of the things that really bothered me about Shin Lim was his overacting, being overly dramatic in his performance.
Yeah.
Waving his hair and moving the hands about. This felt even though it wasn't natural, it felt more natural. The acting felt better. Pretending like the card went over the edge, or being surprised when his vest changed colors. I'm not a big fan of this type of close-up magic. I love close-up magic like John Dorenbos, those type of guys. I'm not a big fan of these guys that just sit there and do tricks and don't interact with anybody. I love interaction in my performances. Yeah. So those types, that close-up magic I like better than this.
There's something about being on the stage, I think, that sort of separates him from the audience. But, that banter and that talking and that, including the audience with you, it does feel more impressive, I guess, that way. Yep. Yeah,
I just like to be included. I want to be part of the act. I want to be a participant. I don't want to be just an observer. So, and then again, this went on really long. I was getting about halfway through and I was starting to do other things.
Okay.
This was 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is really surprising because it felt like AGT did show the whole thing.
So he was 3 times longer than Greg Morton.
Yes. And I felt it was about 2 to 2.5 minutes too long. I felt they could have cut some of this out. I don't know how it would have come across then. I know we've seen some of these acts get cut short and they have felt it feels different, like it was missing pieces, but I felt like they could have told him, dude, you can't go on 4.5 minutes.
Right.
You've got to make this a 2 or 2.5 minute card trick.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know how many people are gonna, especially when you're not interacting. If you're interacting, the time goes by much faster.
Yeah. But the tricks themselves were good, and there was a lot of them.
Yes, I mean, there was a lot of them.
He wasn't doing nothing for long stretches, which we'll talk about later. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that his lack of confidence, that sort of, I'm up on stage and I haven't been doing this long. Like, there is something very charming about that. I hope it doesn't wear thin by later rounds. I hope that he does actually get more confidence and he does sort of shake off this, I'm so uncomfortable up here sort of persona and sort of polish it up and become a really great magician with really great stage presence. And I think he's got it in him.
Yeah. I hope he brings the audience, not the audience, but the judges and maybe Terry in more to his act and have more of that interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Eric Chen. All right, our third act was a little 15-year-old singer-songwriter.
Yep.
Her name is Sophie Pecora. She tells us that she was shy as a younger kid, started posting some things on YouTube, dealing with some bullying, and it's showing some like shots from her YouTube page. So I'm thinking like this girl is already a known commodity. I doubt she'll be anything but through easily with 4 yeses from her opening package.
Yeah, absolutely.
The teenager singer girl, like America loves it, right? They're consistently get a lot of votes from America on America's Got Talent. So the judges give her the let's go. She starts a little bit rough. There's like some moments of silence as she's kind of like tuning the guitar up, but she quickly settles in. She does a little singing and then turns sort of into this like sing-songy rap style. Song is all about bullying. I didn't take down any of the lyrics, but talking about being torn down in the 7th grade was the sort of the lyric that I got over and over. But what were your thoughts on Sophie Pecora?
Do you remember Chase Goring?
Does not ring a bell.
I don't know if he was on 13 or 12.
Okay.
But he kind of had this singing, fast-talking type.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what kind of this reminded me of. It's the female Chase Goring. because it was pretty much identical. And my wife and I were watching this, and we weren't familiar with this style of singing, where you sing a little bit and then you just spout out a bunch of words that really aren't in rhythm with what you're playing on guitar. So it was kind of really a shock, but a surprise to us that this was a thing. And now that we've had two of them do it, was he on 12 or 13?
You know what? I had it pulled up here. You keep talking.
Okay.
I'll find an answer to that question.
Just to kind of, we've now heard this twice in up to 3 years. That could have been last year. I can't remember.
Season 12.
Season 12. Okay, so twice in 3 seasons now that we've had this type of singing. It's just not. It's just. I don't know who's listening to this. It's not really something you can play on the radio, and I know that they're looking for that story, and we talked about this in Champions a little bit. That my wife calls this America's Got Feels. And I mentioned to her that I've used that. And she said, "Do you give me credit?" I said, "Yes, I give you credit."
Yes, dear.
So, she's got the story. She's been bullied. But it's hard to follow some of these lyrics, and it seemed that the judges were more trying to listen to the lyrics than listen to the song.
Okay.
And it could easily have just been a poem or a short story or whatever it may be, because it didn't really match up with it didn't seem like she was doing a lot of guitar playing. I'm not sure. You mentioned that AGT loves this teenager girl, but I'm not sure how much she has in the singing bag.
Okay.
So.
I hear what you're saying. And I was all ready to be out. Another tween singer with some sad story about being bullying. But she grew on me. By the end of the song, I was really enjoying this. For what it's worth, I think this style of song, if you sort of similar to like We Didn't Start the Fire or Life is a Rock, but the Radio Rolls Me, I think they're called banter songs. And like, there's a lot of lyrics sort of pumped in there, in a sort of rhythmic way. And I would say that this is stylistically similar to things that have had some popularity, but it's enough different that it doesn't sound like every other song. She will be memorable because she is a little bit unique, unique from every other singer that just sings a song. So I was ready to be out. She was better than I had feared she was going to be. So I'm pleased with her. The judges, of course, loved her. Howie said, "You danced to your own really relatable drummer, and it was real and it was wonderful." Gabrielle said, "We asked for artists to wow us, and you did." Julliane said, "What you performed was truth." And Simon said, "It was something from the heart, and the delivery is really cool." So the judges were in. I liked her more than I thought I was going to. So that's that. I was pleased.
Okay.
Maybe more pleased than you were.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Chase Goring. I'm just not the fan of this type of singing. I like things that I'm the type of person I want things very rhythmic and orderly.
Okay.
And
a little more melodic.
But I do like We Didn't Start the Fire. It is one of my favorite songs. But it seemed I think it's more rhythmic than, and her singing did not match up with her guitar playing.
Okay.
So if she fixes that in the next round, I guess she's going to go to Judge Cuts next, so we'll kind of see what she does at Judge Cuts. If she can fix that, maybe she can come around on me. But I'm not a big fan of this type of singing. I applaud her for talking about the bullying. We obviously don't want bullying. That's a very, very bad thing, and I think the more awareness we get out about that, the better things will be.
Yes.
Now, at the time that this came out, unless they're in Iowa, they're probably out of school. So, none of her friends or schoolmates are seeing this. And then by the time she gets back to school, the season will be almost over. So, there's not going to be a whole lot of people seeing this right now at her school or that she can interact with at her school. But we want to get anti-bullying out of there. We don't want bullying of teenagers. That's a bad, bad, bad thing.
Yes,
so.
Yes. I am. I'm also anti-bullying. I am also on board with the message, and I think it's worth just saying out loud here. Like, you and I will have some things to say to some of the acts, some of the things that we may not like, or our criticisms, our critiques are really not meant to sting. They're not meant to hurt. It's a show that we love, and we want to have the show be the best that it can be. And that's where the critiques come from. And on a very human level, when you get to know people, when you get to know situations, you learn to love them. And sometimes the stories that we're given are a little force-fed. Sometimes they don't feel honest or true. And I'll take issue with that. But at the end of the day, this is a great show, and that's why we're talking about it. So that's, I think worth mentioning while we're sort of on the topic of critiques and criticisms and bullyings.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point, and I think that's it's kind of, if I could kind of add on to that as well. This is a talent show. This is a show where they have come on TV to display their talent, and as just two guys that don't know a whole lot, then we're just here to kind of just talk about it and like you say, critique their talent. And it may not be something that I prefer. There may be stuff that you don't prefer, but we're never going to talk bad about the person themselves. No, that's not a good thing. It's very, very negative. We don't know these people personally. We don't know anything about their life other than what the TV show tells us.
Right.
So if there's certain singing that we don't like, I should be able to say, hey, it's not my thing, but I hope she does well. I don't want to see her fail, but it's just not my type of thing.
Good.
So,
Good.
So, her time on the stage, her time singing was about on par with what we expected. More of what are closer to what Greg Morton did than to what Eric Chin did. She sang for about 2:04, which I thought which is fair for a song. You don't want it to be too short, and you don't want things to go too long. Because I thought that was okay.
Feels fair. Yep.
It feels fair. She got out what she needed to do in 2 minutes. I think that's probably right where they should be. Now, we were talking about Julliane earlier.
Yeah. So this is kind of where we get our montage, right?
Yeah. So then my first thought was, what's going on with her mascara?
Okay, so we are a couple of 30-something dudes, right?
Yeah, I mean, mid-30s, early 40s, whatever. Yeah,
maybe into 40-something. Yeah. I don't know. So makeup is totally not my thing.
No, don't know anything about it.
Her makeup is also totally not my thing.
Yeah, so she started off. I mean, and of course, all of these are pieced together. So this is, the third act of the night. I think they've already gone through. I think this is the second wardrobe change that we've seen. So obviously, this was recorded on a different night than the first two. Because I think she was wearing kind of like a white silvery thing. Oh, we're going to talk fashion for a moment, Jay. So you're excited about this?
I'm all in.
Because I don't know if you heard from season 12, but one of my big observations from season 12 was that Mel B wore the exact same outfit on every single Golden Buzzer that the judges did. So, So Tyra had her Golden Buzzer, but the four judges, when they did their Golden Buzzer, Mel B was wearing the exact same dress in all four Golden Buzzers. So I'm now looking out for this stuff. Okay. So,
all right.
So I'm on wardrobe watch for the judges for some reason. I don't know why. But
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when this came on, I was like, are we going with the Avril Lavigne look here? I I didn't know what we were doing, and I know we just talked about bullying. I'm not trying to bully. Just observation, trying to be funny a little bit.
Yeah,
not trying to body shame or makeup shame or anything. I mean, you all take it for what you will, but this just really caught me off guard a little bit.
Her makeup was an interesting choice. Yes. I would say it was noticeable, and it was meant to be noticed.
Yes,
and we indeed did notice it.
Yeah. Now she's an attractive young woman, but this was, I don't know who the makeup artist for this particular night was, but I'm not saying they should be fired. That's really, really bad. But I mean, they might want to kind of rethink going forward. The makeup choices. Yeah,
no, I think that her really dark eyeshadow that was all the way around the eyes was an aggressive choice, and if that's the thing that the kids are doing these days, far be it from me. But it was noticed. Yeah. So in this montage, though, sort of moving back to that, we sort of got this montage of bad acts.
Yes.
So we get sort of that what AGT was originally known for was like these people that come out and think they're good and they're not, and but they sort of spliced this into a little bit of get to know Julliane Hough a little bit.
Yes.
And so we sort of get into this with her saying like, oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be rude. I can't use the buzzer. And then they start to break her down a little bit. And she, Simon hits the buzzer for her once. And then, she's still very apologetic when she asks people, to leave the stage. And then, she kind of flips a switch and she's hitting that buzzer. She's the first one to do it. She's really enjoying it.
They even use the hashtag buzzer badass.
I missed that, and that's just fine. Do you think that was trending? I didn't notice.
I didn't notice either.
Okay.
But I thought that was. I mean, that's what I'm here for, Jay. I capture the hashtags. I want to make sure the hashtags get their due. So.
All right, you keep it up, man.
But this is one of my favorite things. We'd gone through 3 acts. All the judges, 3 acts, 12 yeses. Okay. Not a single, I don't know, or what do you mean that you're letting them through? None of that. We've had 3 acts, 12 full yeses. So I'm glad we'd finally gotten to some of the bad acts, making, but they mixed it in with Julliane saying, I'm new. I want to let it go through. I don't really want to buzz you. She's trying to be the nice, good girl,
right.
Or the nice, good judge. Sorry. She's trying to be the good judge and not ruffle any feathers, even though the other 3 judges had just buzzed immediately. She was one to see the entire act. But then we, like you said, she shifted gears, and then she was one of the first ones to buzz.
Yes.
So
no, I thought that was a fun little montage.
Yes.
Of the bad acts. We saw a gentleman who called himself Monkey.
Yes.
Who did some what I thought was like some legitimate ballet.
Yes. At the beginning it actually was. I mean, he was up on his toes and everything.
He seemed really capable.
Yeah.
We saw I'm guessing some sort of a comedy routine with a puppet man talking about how not to do a presentation and doing all the things that he said not to do.
Yeah.
Got a quick glance at a juggling clown.
Yeah.
There was a woman who was barking, and there was a a cappella group called Purgatory.
Yes.
They did all meowing.
Yeah.
And then a quick shot of a gargling singer. And that's what I captured from this montage of acts. Some interesting stuff. I'm not sure that Purgatory, deserved to be 4 X's, but I got kind of a soft place in my heart for some a cappella. But maybe they were a little stiff. Maybe it seemed so.
I'm glad we got this montage. I would like to see again. It's America's Got Feels, so we got to show all the good stuff. But I would like to have seen 1 or 2 of these kind of in its full duration. I know they weren't on stage very long because they buzzed them rather quickly. But I would kind of like to have seen a little bit more because that's what I know. That's my AGT that I have known to love over the years.
Yeah.
These acts where they come out, the judges berate them. Simon gives his, Simon does his thing. So that's what I find entertainment. I don't want to see every single good act 4 yeses. I want to see, and at this point, I think it was at this point, or very soon, I was thinking, I actually miss Mel B a little bit.
Oh,
I actually miss Mel B because I miss I don't understand, or what does that mean, or what are they doing, or why are you letting them through, or I miss that in our judges. I want to see our judges, and it may be early. We may get that later on.
Yeah, but maybe there's a bit of an innocence about her that we're missing with these other judges.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yep. So I hope it's that we don't see in season 14. I mean, I'm glad I like the rotation of judges. Get some fresh blood in there. But at the same time, I want to see our judges kind of not bicker or just disagree a little bit.
Sure, there's been zero disagreement, right? Even through this montage of bad acts, it was all 4 buzzers, right? Yeah. There was nothing that was divided. So we've got absolute yes or absolute no across the board.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So that was that montage. Do you want to jump ahead to Patrizio?
Yeah. So I'm glad you gave him a name because all I have listed as Italian piano player.
He was very difficult to understand.
Yes.
And that's fair. I mean, he clearly English was not his first language, not even a comfortable language for him. But he was able to string together some sentences for us. Said he was shy and quiet as a child. He fell in love with the piano. Classical music is his favorite. And then they let him play. So he sits down and he plays the classic. Is it Fur Elise that he played?
Fur Elise, yep, that's right.
And people are yawning, and there's just not much excitement from the crowd. But then, he was reminding me a lot of, who's the guy from Champions?
I have written down that he went full Kenichi.
Oh, Kenichi. Yes. Yeah, some of his dance moves, dance moves were very Kenichi Diva. Yes. But sort of the drum piano.
The guy from Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah. What was his name?
I don't know.
I've lost it.
Yeah, I don't know. He's from Britain's Got Talent, but I know who you're talking about.
He was on the Champions.
Yeah, he was on the Champions.
Again, not a very well-spoken guy in that one either. But yeah, so there's like these electronica noises, and he stands up and he kicks his bench out from under him, and then he just walks away from the piano, and he's doing all these dance moves, and like you said, full Kenichi Ibina, right? He's doing lots of like robot and popping and locking and pushing himself to the floor and picking himself back up in ways that seem really impossible, right?
Yes. So basically he's defying gravity.
In a lot of ways. So some classical music mixed with some gravity-defying dancing.
Were you thinking of Tokyo Myers?
Tokyo Myers, that's his name. Thank you. So sort of a touch of Tokyo Myers meets Kenichi Ibina meets Beethoven.
So that's kind of what I thought as well, and I'm glad it seemed. I was actually a little bit excited once he did it, and you could hear Fur Elise kind of mixed in. So there was like an electronic track, but Fur Elise still mixed in with his music, and he was reacting and moving to the music.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was looking up Tokyo Myers. I'm not sure if you actually said that.
That was good. So, judge's comments, Howie said, "We've never seen anything like that."
Yeah, actually,
which I say, yeah, we kind of have. Yeah. But far be it for me.
Yeah.
We had Gabrielle say, "Unbelievable! You were like Bruce Banner becomes the Incredible Hulk." Julliane said,
"I thought that was a fair comment."
Yeah. He gave us something unexpected, which is what Julliane said. It was very unexpected. You executed your dancing so well, and I defer to her on any comments on the dancing. She would know, and yes, he was. I thought he looked very, very capable.
Yeah.
Simon said, "Without people like you, we don't have a show." So, again, 4 yeses from the judges.
Yeah, minute 40 for him. So again, right on par with what I think it should be. That's just my opinion.
Where he should be.
And also now through 4 acts, we've seen 3 of them do the exact same thing and I know we're on 14th season now. We've seen a lot of performances, but we've now seen 3 acts that have done the exact same thing of performances in the last few seasons. So
saying like sitting down to the piano and then
so we had Eric Chen do basically Shin Lim.
Okay.
Then we had Sophie Pecora, Chase Goring, and then we had him doing Tokyo Myers and Kenichi Abina. So the only one that's kind of been an original is Greg Morton at the beginning.
Sure, so. Yeah, and I guess he would fall into like comedian, like he's a comedic act, and I hope we get some more comedy out of him. But we're kind of all over the board, but it is a lot of is there anything new under the sun?
Yeah,
and I can't say that I remember seeing a impressionist on America's Got Talent to my quick recollection.
We've seen some do impressions, but I thought his was a little more original.
Yeah.
These other 3 have pretty much been identical to things we've seen. And one of the things that America's Got Talent says is, hey, we want stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And all of these last 3 are things we've seen very recent.
Yeah. As far as my impressions, I thought that his piano was good enough. His dancing was good enough. I've seen a lot of people play piano, probably better than he can. I've seen a lot of people dance. I think he has room for improvement. But I think that he will improve, and I'm interested to see what he brings.
Okay, fair enough.
So, speaking of dancing, to start hour 2 of the broadcast, we've got a group called V Unbeatable Dance Crew. That's a V like Victor, Unbeatable Dance Crew, and it took me a while to get that. But these is dancers ages 12 to 27 from Mumbai, India. When we dance, we feel free, and many of them are from the slums because you got to have a story. Their package gives a full introduction of we love to dance. This is our chance to be free. This is a chance to make a difference for our families. A lot of things we've heard before. But when we get to the dancing, what were your thoughts on their actual dancing, not their story?
I've talked several times. I'm not a big fan of dance crews. They all seem the same to me. This one, and I noticed about halfway through that this one was different.
Yes.
Especially with the now, I'll give one exception to dance crew. I thought Diavolo was very original with all their gadgets and props they use.
They had those big stage props that they were dancing on and around and really rolling with. But this was so Diavolo-esque, sure.
Sure, yeah. I mean, they didn't have the big props, but they brought in some bamboo sticks that they climbed up on and jumped off of, and I thought that
ran across the tops of,
and some of the stacking and jumping and throwing that they did, it felt fresh. And they're a huge crew. There's 20 something of them. 20. I think you said 27 of them that are in this crew, somewhere around that number. So they're a big crew of various ages.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So their dancing felt fresh to me. I did like the bamboo sticks. That shows that they've got a little bit of acrobatics in their act, which I like as well. So I did like them. Now I think AGT's kind of been teasing them a little bit through in the last week or so, or the week before. Yeah. I think there have been some YouTube videos and Facebook videos come out to kind of show them, to get people, previewing them, to get people ready for the show. I don't think they've done other performances as much as this one has been previewed. So I kind of knew that they were coming up, and I knew about the V Unbeatable. I'm curious what the V stands for.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I kind of knew they were coming up. I like their outfits, the all red matching outfit. They seem to have this kind of pre-performance routine where they come out on the stage and they touch this, like, one by one. They touch the stage and kind of kiss. There's like this little routine, kind of a good luck thing. I don't know if it's a good luck thing or what, but
some sort of thing.
Some sort of thing, which I thought was kind of cool. I kind of like them. So we'll see what they do in the next round or so. I think they do need to step it up a little bit more with the props. If they can, I don't know if they should bring the bamboo sticks back or if they should try to incorporate something else. But I did like them. Yeah.
I think the sky's the limit on what they could do. I liked, like you said, the bamboo sticks. Any dance crew, if you're gonna get my attention, if you're gonna get my vote, you have to show me something that I've never seen before. I honestly don't care how to a point, how in sync you are. Like, you can be like clockwork. That doesn't really impress me. But the tricks, the moves, you have to do something that I've never seen before. And I don't watch a lot of dancing, but there have been some dance crews that just there's nothing new there. There's nothing that that I want to stick around for. So they did a couple of things that caught my eye. I'd say that they were stacking like 3 people high, which is nice, and we have seen that before. But they were stacking good and high. They did the thing where the stack on the right swung this kid like by his hands up to the center group, where they caught him by his ankles, like a level higher, and then they swung him back down to the next group while he did some twists in the air. So like that was good, and the flyer was good, and it was it looked thoroughly dangerous and very well practiced. Then they did what I think I saw, and it was actually kind of hard to tell because the editors were giving us all sorts of judge reactions and slow motion and lots of crowd shots, and it was really kind of hard to follow the actual act when they do that. But
breathe, Jay.
But what I think I saw is they threw a guy up sort of horizontally with another guy vertically on his back, and at the top of the horizontal guy's act, he jumped and then was further up into the air off of his back. So like they threw him up and then they threw him up even further. So that's what I think I saw, and I enjoyed it. Would have liked to have not had that over edited if I didn't make that clear. But judge's comments, how he said, "You made history and you just made your future." Good turn of phrase there, Howie. Gabrielle said, "You blew us away." Julliane said, "It was absolute brilliance. You support each other, and that's all that matters." Simon said, "One of the best acts that I've ever had on one of these shows."
Yeah, Simon kind of added something else on that, and I want to get your thought on this. He said the sign says America's Got Talent, but it's actually the world has talent.
Yeah, like America's Got Talent is the flagship of the Got Talent franchise. It's the original, and it's the biggest. It's got the highest viewers. It's got the biggest stretch. So, in a lot of ways, like, it is the granddaddy of the Got Talent franchise, and I'm okay with him saying that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because we're now seeing people from all over the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Come to do America's Got Talent, and a lot of people have issues with that. But I think to really dig into that talent pool and to be inclusive, and I think they do have rules in place to say you have to meet certain criteria to be in this. But the world is full of all kinds of talent.
Yeah. I have no issue opening it up to the entire world. I want to see the best. I want to have the best show, and it takes the entire world. We're not just America. The show is called America's Got Talent, but Yeah, that's where it takes place, I guess.
Okay. This one was right at 2 minutes, so we're still kind of. I mean,
okay.
The only outlier has been Eric Chin so far.
Yeah, and he doubled up. So
yeah. Okay, so then we get into. I'm glad we've got a comedian in this show. Jackie Fabulous.
Jackie Fabulous, just like it sounds. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Jackie Fabulous. She is a Jamaican. She always wanted to be a comedian. She has her law degree, which she said she used to represent herself in her own divorce as her own divorce lawyer. She has really good banter with the judges, right?
Does,
like this is what we love to see from our comedians is that give and take with the judges. Her act itself, what'd you think of the actual act, the actual presentation?
I didn't write a whole lot down of it, but from what I remember, I try not to write down the comedian jokes because I can't tell them as well. So I just try to go off with what I remember, and I enjoyed this. We've seen the last couple of seasons, the Preacher Lawson that we just talked about earlier in the podcast, and Vicky Barbalack, and she reminded me of both of them. So I enjoyed her act. She told good stories. Everything fit well together, she has good stage presence. So I think being an attorney will kind of help because she's good at talking about things and having a stage presence and telling stories. So I think that her law degree will actually help her be a better comedian.
Yeah. No, I thought she was very capable. I thought that she was fine. I usually try to write down some sort of line to remind myself what their act was about. What was the joke? What was the punchline? And I kind of felt like she lacked punchlines.
Well, not everyone can be trailer nasty.
Trailer nasty.
Yeah, not everyone can be trailer nasty. So that's
a catchphrase, not a punchline. But get her done, right? Like,
careful, we might have to pay $500 for that.
We'll have to pay some royalties. Yeah. All right. Well, Venmo me, and yeah. So, anyway, I wrote down two phrases, and as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking this don't really mean much to me. She said, "My mom wants me to lose some weight," and talked about losing weight, and then she said, "I don't like Facebook," and had some thoughts and comments on Facebook. But that's all that I wrote down, and I am having a hard time really remembering much of her act specifically, which kind of to me isn't a good sign.
Okay. I think that's fair. And there's been a lot of discussion on here about comedians on this show because it's really hard. Hers was 1:36, and I feel like they need to give the comedians more time.
Boy, they do.
They do. Because it takes a while to start off with a joke, tell a few more jokes, and then if you want to have a callback to the beginning, it takes a while to get there. You got to get the audience warmed up. You got to let them know what's going on. And to get it only in 1.5 minutes is very, very difficult for a comedian. They either have to shove a lot in, or the editors did some major editing to maybe because this could have been a 5-minute performance for all we know.
Yeah.
And the production crew shortened it down to this 1.5 minutes somehow.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, it's tough to have any inside jokes, any callbacks, any banter, any relationship with the audience in 90 seconds. I've got these jokes, and I'm going to give my best to give you these jokes. And the judges loved her. Howie said she's a superstar. Howie is the resident comedian. He knows comedians. So I can defer to Howie on that. And I can tell you the crowd was behind her. The crowd loved her. So
yeah, that's why I'm wondering it must have been a longer set that we didn't get to see.
Maybe better live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabrielle said, "You make us laugh, you make us think. Julliane said it was naughty and amazing. I didn't remember it being all that naughty. Yeah. So again, what are we missing? Simon said, "Thank God for you," and then he goes up on stage and gives her a kiss.
Yeah, that was a little surprising.
Yeah, that's not the usual Simon.
No,
not the usual Simon. He's growing up a little bit.
And again, there must have been something there that we just didn't get to see.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't know what we missed. She was fine. I don't see her going far. She was not that memorable for me.
Okay, fair enough. I hope it's hard. Again, hard with the comedians. So we'll just have to see what she does in Judge Cuts.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they've changed Judge Cuts now to where it's actually in front of an audience. If you remember back in the day, they'd just be in a room with the 4 judges. And boy,
just shuffling pictures around, and we'll keep them, and we're gonna have to sit on them, and not them, and
But it was painful to watch comedians because all you had was the reaction from the judges.
Right.
So.
Right, and an audience of 4 is hardly an audience to get on with you. So,
once again, we get four yeses.
Surprise, 4 yeses.
Yep.
All right, so another sort of something like we've seen before, but nothing like anything we've seen before. Is our next act.
Yeah.
Calls himself Gingzilla. G-I-N-G Zilla. Z-I-L-L-A. From Sydney, Australia. He says, "I'm a 7-foot ginger-bearded glam monster all the way from Sydney, Australia." And he is glam and bearded and 7 foot and ginger and Australian.
or as he says it,
all of those things.
Or as he says it, Australian. He's from Australia.
Australia. It reminded me a lot of Prince Poppycock.
That's exactly what I have written down. A rocker Prince Poppycock.
Yep, Prince Poppycock, but a 7-foot tall bearded glam monster all the way from Sydney, Australia. He called himself the love child of Jessica Rabbit and Chuck Norris, which I thought was, maybe if you're trying to remind yourself who you're looking at.
Yeah.
That's Gingzilla.
I also wrote down, if you've ever watched The Goldbergs.
I have not.
Okay, so The Goldbergs is about, it takes place in the 80s, and it's about who's now a producer, Adam Goldberg. It's basically his childhood.
Okay.
And his mom, Beverly Goldberg, is a very, she wears a lot of like she has big 80s hair. She wears like some sequin shirts and, yeah. So if you were to look at a picture of Beverly Goldberg from the show, not the real life Beverly Goldberg,
right.
This is what without the beard, the hair and the outfit, it would look exactly like what Beverly Goldberg would wear on the show.
Just so much, yeah. Man, an impressive beard though.
Yes, absolutely.
That puppy is that's a thing.
Yeah, and the makeup. I think. Julliane's makeup artist needs to kind of take some tips because those cheekbones looking pretty sharp.
Very, very, very much. Everything is so much with Gingzilla, right? So he comes out and he's singing Tom Jones' "She's a Lady," and then after a verse and a chorus, he leaves the stage, and then he runs back on, and it gets a little more growly in his singing, and he leaves the stage again. Thank you all. Then he comes back again, and he really owned the stage. The judges were on their feet. They loved her. Howie said, "You're such a good performer, and funny, and different, and confusing." Gabrielle said, "I am here for the whole thing." Julliane said, "I can see you in Vegas now." Simon said, "This was fantastic. The show is to find people like you." I agree with Howie. Funny, different, confusing.
Yeah, at the beginning of this, I really thought it was going to be one of those things, kind of like Greg Morton, where I thought it was going to be one of those bad acts that they're showing. It was going to be very hokey. But yes, he can sing. I was still, and I bet if I don't know if we should mention the previous judges that much, but if Mel B had been on here, again, a what if situation. If Mel B, she probably would have buzzed this. But I'm glad that at this point she's not, that we have these judges, because this was a fantastic act.
Yeah. This is the kind of act that, like, on its surface, like, it kind of makes me uncomfortable.
A little bit.
I am just a little confused, and I don't like being confused. But I cannot say that I am not entertained.
No, I was really entertained.
I'm thoroughly entertained with Gingzilla. So, boy, that was a thing that happened, and Gabrielle's here for the whole thing, all of it,
and we're a long way from finals. But if for some reason, this performance is how I'm going to refer to it. If this performance gets to finals, I hope Prince Poppycock comes back and sings.
Boy, wouldn't it be fun to see them together?
Yes.
That could be a thing.
But again, we're a long way from finals.
Let's speak that into existence. Let's hope that happens.
Yep. So another 4 yeses.
Another 4 yeses.
Yep.
Surprise. Yep. That's what you do. All right. And then we had our Danger Act.
Yes.
Gentleman named Brian Miser and his wife Tina. He calls himself the Human Fuse. He's a 55-year-old daredevil. Why don't you tell us about his act?
Yeah, so he calls himself the Human Fuse. He lights himself on fire, and then he catapults himself from this gigantic crossbow up into the air onto an inflatable platform. So it's very similar to a human cannonball, except he lights himself on fire and there's no cannon. It's a crossbow.
Okay.
So he used to do cannonballs, but now he got bored with getting shot out of a cannon, so he decided to go with this.
Right. So it's really just being a human cannonball, but you're on a sled instead of a cannon shoot.
Yeah,
cannon barrel. Yeah. So, in his banter with the judges, we had the talk about the human crossbow. He talks about how he was in the hospital yesterday because he slipped in a puddle. They ask him, how dangerous is this on a scale from 1 to 10? And he calls it a 10, which I think that he might be overselling himself. I think that this was all very calculated and isn't, 10 times out of 10 going to go wrong. So
I think these things can go wrong. They absolutely can go wrong. But I think the most dangerous part of this act is being set on fire.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Could very well be. So I was starting, my mind was wandering, and I was really just starting to get over this act. Finally, we get outside. They load up the crossbow. They set him on fire. They count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we cut to commercial break.
Yeah.
Okay, so after commercial break, it's another 35 seconds. We have to count down from 5 again.
Yeah.
And then he flies through the air in slow motion. And there's a tense moment before he rolls off the airbag and gets extinguished. And it turns out that he is actually okay. I was so bored. I timed this from the moment they introduced him, the beginning of his package, through the commercial break to the end of the judges' votes. It was 14 minutes.
Wow.
It was 14 minutes. The entertaining part of the act.
It takes a long time to go outside, Jay. I mean, you gotta pack everyone up, and the judges have to get their big heavy coats on because it's probably 60 degrees in LA. So it takes a while to get all that done.
Yeah. So the entertaining part of the act, where he flew through the air, lasted in slow motion, not more than 10 seconds. So I was just was over this act from the word go. We've seen Danger acts before. There's nothing that they can do that hasn't been done. I'm just, I don't need this on my screen, especially not for 14 minutes.
Now,
it's too much.
4.5 of that was them actually, getting him loaded up, getting him on fire, shooting him through the air, landing, and then putting him out. All of that was 4.5 minutes.
Okay, that's still too long.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more than I need. So judges said, hey, the reason you want to do this is so you can quit. That's funny. Gabrielle asks, we asked to wow the audience. You wowed the audience. Julliane said it was ridiculously amazing. Simon said, are you prepared to jump over something that can eat you? They got 4 yeses. I would not have voted yes on this. Yeah. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah. First off, Terry asked, well, what are you going to do if you win the $1 million? And he said retire, which he won't be able to do because he'll have to continue doing this act.
He's obligated to
earn his
the
$1 million.
America's Got Talent franchise.
Yes, so
yeah.
I'm not sure he read that fine print in the contract when he signed up to audition. And then I think Simon asked him, well, where do you go next? And he said, Toledo. So
quite literally, I'm on my way to Toledo.
Yeah. But, I've got a picture up here of the 4 judges outside. How cold do you think it actually was in L.A. that day?
You guessed it at 60. It can get a little bit cooler in the evenings. But
do you put this much? Look what Gabrielle's got on. Do you put that much coat on when you go out in January in Iowa? I saw -23 this winter. -23. It warmed up 50 degrees and we were still below freezing. I saw some cold this winter. Yeah.
So
you would have been happy to be whatever it is, whatever temperature it is in LA at this time.
Right.
You would have been in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah. I would not have had a scarf on like Howie.
Yeah.
I would not have a puffy jacket on like Simon.
Yeah. The scarf wearing Howie is cracking me up.
Now, Gabrielle said that she is from Omaha at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
Which is, just down I-80 from me, a couple hours. They get cold. She knows how to be cold, but she's overdressed. Come on. People get soft when they move out of the Midwest here. I guess I don't know.
I guess so. It seemed like Julianne's also from. Where is she from?
I do not
Utah.
know.
She's from Utah.
Oh, all right.
So,
okay.
She spent time in. I guess she spent too much time in L.A. But even being from Utah, they get some pretty chilly weather.
Well, many comments have been made about how the judges on America's Got Talent were not American.
Yes.
Howie is Canadian.
Yes.
Simon, of course, is from England.
Yes.
Melby and the other one. Clearly not American, and I'm clearly starting to get a little goofy this time of night. So, but yeah, hey, you know what? We got some Americans on the judging panel. Good for you guys.
Yeah. I don't think you guys need coats in LA. So, this cracked me up. This was the most entertaining part of the Human Fuse's performance, was seeing them bundled up in their winter coats.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
Okay. So we closed out the show with my namesake, Cody Lee.
Cody Lee. Yeah. He comes out on stage. He's led by his mother, and he's carrying a cane. You can tell he's blind, and we get introduced to him, and we learn that he's autistic as well. And his mother's Tina Lee. So we have Cody Lee and his mother Tina Lee. And Tina tells us that playing music has saved his life, which she doesn't go into details about how that might be, but I'll take her word for it. Sings a song called "A Song for You" by Leon Russell. Were you familiar with this song at all?
It seemed like I'd heard this song a time or two. The Google I got was for Donny Hathaway, so I'm not sure which one's the actual original.
Okay.
But it seemed like I've heard this song. I'm not overly familiar, but yeah, probably heard it a time or two.
Yeah, it didn't ring a bell for me. What did you think of the actual act, though?
I think this was very, very, very impressive. With being blind and autistic to go out to perform, and his voice is fantastic. He playing the piano, singing a song. This was a great song. I thought this was a great way to end the show.
Yeah. I think that he did very well. The piano playing was not anything, off the charts. It was nothing that we've, can't see from any, decent piano player. But he didn't mess up, right? And he's a capable singer. He was matching pitch, he was matching tone. He was great. He had a great chest voice, very confident when he flips into the falsetto voice. And he played the part of emotion very well. He brought that emotion to the song, which for being autistic, I understand there's a lot of they have trouble reading emotions and understanding emotions and displaying the appropriate emotions. So for him to bring that to the stage was really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, he even seemed to be able to interact with the judges very well. They'd ask him a question, he'd be able to answer it. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and autism, it's called a spectrum, and there's certainly people who are on the very edges of profoundly debilitated by it, and those who are just simply much more normal functioning.
Yeah.
Neurotypical, I think, is the phrase they use.
Yeah.
So, good for him. It was a good act, and I think we can say that this is the first act that did not get 4 yeses.
I didn't notice that.
Because it was Gabrielle's golden buzzer.
Well, yeah. I think it's automatic. So, AGT kind of tipped their hand a little bit. It's getting close to the end of the show. You then see someone blind coming out to do a performance, and I was like, golden buzzer. You knew this was it. It seemed to really hit them in the heartstrings a little bit. I think she probably gave it to him more because of his condition. If that's is that the right word to use?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So more for his condition rather than. I mean, he has talent. He can sing. He can play, but I think they gave it to him more because of that.
In a way, it's. To be a little cynical, it's marketable,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He's not just a singer. He's not just a blind singer. He's this really unique case, and he is good to listen to as well.
And he's not gonna have to go through judge cuts. He'll go straight to the live show, so he gets to skip a level, a round.
Yeah.
You won't have to deal with that. But it kind of reminds me a little. She didn't play, but Susan Boyle. The kind of same situation.
Right, and she was. She's also on the autism spectrum.
I believe so. Yes.
Yep. So, it's really. I really did enjoy the act.
Yes.
I really did enjoy it.
Yep.
What he brought to the stage. That was the last one of the night, and so we got our golden buzzer from Gabrielle. We will not see another one from her, I suspect, right?
That's correct. So the 4 judges get one, and then Terry will get one as well.
Okay. Okay. So that gives us how many acts? 9 acts going through?
That we saw, yes.
That we saw,
Yep.
of course.
Yep.
So Greg Morton, our impressionist, Eric Chen, the magician, Sophie Pecora, the singer-songwriter, Patrizio, our pianist/dancer, The Unbeatable Dance Crew. We had Jackie Fabulous, our comedian, Gingzilla, who I put down as an entertainer
Yes.
/ singer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian Miser, our daredevil, and Cody Lee, our singer.
Yeah.
So, I think a great way to start the season 14. Excited to see what these acts bring to us again, and excited to see what the whole season brings.
Yeah, I felt that this first episode was just a little too good. I mean, all we saw, we did see one montage of bad acts, but every other act got 4 yeses. And I want to see a little conflict, not a whole lot, a little. I want to see someone just say, I don't feel it's your time. Not these just ridiculous acts, but someone that actually came out, gave it their all, but they just weren't good enough. And for them to just say, hey, it's not your time, or, why didn't you put them through? Or, hey, I want them to go. What was it with Sarah and Hero, where Simon had to go up and beg for her to go through?
We've talked about this on the Champion season, but man, those are the acts where you should be using the golden buzzer, not the one where it's clearly going to be 4 yeses.
Correct. Yes.
Right. We should have some of these acts that you really want, that maybe the judges aren't bought in. That's where you use the golden buzzer. That's how I'd like to see it used. But that's apparently not how they want to, or how they producers ask them to, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, there's different philosophies, and we've talked about this. There's different philosophies that there are judges that want to use it on one that didn't feel that they wanted to go through, but the others didn't feel it wasn't quite good enough, but they know there's something there to put them through. And then the other side is, hey, I want to use it because I want to guarantee they get to the live show. I don't want, they could say 4 yeses at this point, but then they get to judge cuts, and then the judges are like, Simon's like, Simon's going to pull his weight and say, no, I don't feel that one's quite ready, and then they get pushed aside. So, if a judge really, really loves an act, they're going to make sure they want to get to the live show. I can see both sides, and if
I think the judges want to, they want to be the one that golden buzzed the act that wins or that goes far. That's what I feel like their motivation is. That's that.
Okay, so that's the show. That's episode 1.
That's episode 1. I guess we didn't talk about this offline at all, but there will be some weeks coming up here during the season where I may have trouble recording on a Thursday night. We may need to push some schedules around or figure something else out. Maybe there will be a week or two where you or I have to record alone. But all things considered, I'm really excited to be a part of this. Really excited to make season 14 something special. Rate, review, tell your friends, share us on Twitter, share us on Facebook, join us, engage with us. Whatever it takes. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk to you guys.
Yep, absolutely. So, anything else you got to talk about for this episode, Jay?
Man, I'm spent. I'm good.
Well, then that's all I've got as well. So, like Jay said, do all the stuff. Let us know. Contact us. We'll be back again next Thursday night. What's that? The 6th, something like that.
That is.
We'll be in June. June 6th.
Yeah.
We'll be back to cover Auditions Week 2. Hopefully, we'll have a little more dissension in the judges. That's stuff I kind of like personally. I don't want 28 yeses going through. So,
all right.
That's all I got. So, y'all have a good night.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you.